Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. What gun, or guns if you're anything like me, would you take with you if you had to evacuate and abandon your home? Well, I recently found out because we had a little situation in the town where I live. Now, luckily, it turned out okay. I'm still here. I still have all my guns and all my other stuff. My house did not burn down, but there was a fire nearby. I'm going to tell you all about it because I had to make that decision. And so I thought it was a great idea for a video because it was something that I had to make those decisions the other night. So last weekend, I took my daughter to Utah to go to Lagoon Amusement Park, and we had a great time. But when we came back into town, actually way before we got into town, we could see a giant fire raging. And I was like, I think that's our town. As we got closer, the radio's on, and we got an emergency broadcast saying that people were getting evacuated basically down the street from where we live. And as we got closer, I'm going to put in some pictures. There was a crazy fire raging. I guess it started from a lightning strike. It's been very dry this summer, and there's been a lot of fires. And we happen to have one right near us. My dad bought a ranch in this area back in 1978. And as we're talking to him, telling him what's going on, he's telling me that in 1979, that there was a fire like this and they had to evacuate, and the fire moved faster than cars were able to get out of town. And so the advice that he gave me and my daughter was to pack up the things that really mattered to us and be ready just in case. And so that's exactly what we did. If you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed, and I'm going to tell you which guns I chose to bring with me. Things can be replaced, and I have homeowners insurance, but there's obviously things that you don't want to lose. And of course, the very first thing that I thought of, the things that I own that, have the most monetary value, but also, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel about firearms if I didn't really like firearms. So the first thing that I thought of was my guns, or at least some of them. I realized that it probably didn't make sense to bring them all with me. And so I started thinking of the ones that would mean the most to me, the ones that I definitely needed to save. And of course, that had to do with monetary value as well as personal value. And so the first one I decided that I was definitely going to save was my Mark 18. I just finished this build like a couple months ago. I've been shooting it a lot, and I absolutely love it. The tax stamp for the SBR, the Form 1, is still pending on it. But it's also got my favorite suppressor on it currently. Now, this suppressor can go on any of my 5.56 guns, but I was definitely going to save the Mark 18. Now, when I first started thinking about what to save, originally I was like, I'm just going to take my two favorite rifles, the Mark 18 and my 14.5, the Dream rifle build. And so that was my plan. And when I got home, I threw this and that one in the case, but it ended up being more than just that. And so we're going to get into that. But the Mark 18, this is just such a good all-around gun. It's got a nice short barrel. So even with a suppressor, it's really maneuverable. It's kind of a great end-of-the-world gun, I think. And it's just, to me, it's very useful because, for one, it's short and it's suppressed. That's the big thing to me. It's really easy to shoot well. It's super reliable. It's accurate. And I built it exactly the way that I want. It's got an ambi lower. It's got a Geisley buffer system, a Geisley trigger, the EOTech on the Unity riser, Mod Light OKW. This thing is, to me, it's absolutely the perfect SBR type rifle. Now, this one is still a pistol, but when I packed it up, I packed up the stock that I'm waiting to put on it as well. Before we get into the rest of the guns that I decided to bring with me, let's have a quick word from our channel partner. This video is sponsored by Aura. Aura is peace of mind in a world that is so much online these days. Every time that one of you guys clicks the first link in the description and signs up for aura.com/sawtooth-tactical, you help me fund this channel to be able to bring you guys new cool stuff to show. What does Aura offer you? Well, for one, if you use that link, you get 2 weeks free trial. That's 14 days And it is only $12 a month after that. And for that $12, like I said, you get peace of mind. What they do is that they go online and they find data brokers that have your information and they submit opt-out requests on your behalf. And then scammers, spammers, all these things online that want to take advantage of you can't get a hold of your information anymore. I've been using it now for months and it's really helped me out quite a bit. I'm one of those people that really gets sick of getting spam calls, spam emails, all this stuff all the time. And I don't get it anymore ever since I've been using Aura. It is well worth the money, but you also get a lot more than just opt out from data brokers. You get a VPN, home title monitoring, password manager. Basically, all of the stuff that your online security, they just take care of all of it for you. It's super easy to set up. It takes like minutes and it hardly costs you anything. Think about all the other things that you spend more than $12 a month on. This just, it's nice to not have your information out there anymore and to not have to worry about that stuff anymore. So check out Aura, use my link. You get 14 days, 2 weeks free if you use that link. Again, that's aura.com/sawtooth tactical. I really, really love Aura, and I think you will too. So the Mark 18 was definitely coming with me, and my 14.5-inch Dream rifle build was definitely coming with me as well. Now, for one, because this is my most expensive gun. I put the most money into this than any of my other firearms. I built it exactly the way I like, and that was part of the reason for these two, the Mark 18 and this one, is because I built both of them. I put my heart and soul into them, as well as a pretty good chunk of change. Again, Mod Light. This one's got a PLH V2, 14.5-inch mid-length Roscoe barrel, EOTech Unity riser setup with the magnifier, Geisley trigger. This one's got an ADM lower and a Volter upper. It's literally the rifle that I built, deciding that I wanted to spare no expense and use every part exactly what I wanted to build my dream rifle. So there was no way I was leaving this at home. Of all of my rifles, this one is the softest shooting. It just feels great to shoot. I feel really confident with this thing. And there was absolutely no way that I was leaving it here. And so I packed this one up and the Mark 18 in rifle cases, and I threw them in the truck. And then I'm looking in my gun safe, so I'm going, man, I can't leave all the rest of these guns. Each one of these means something to me. They're like your kids. Not really, because I do have my favorites when it comes to these. Well, I do with my kids as well, because I only have one child. I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and she, when she was seeing me pack up my favorite guns, she asked me what she should bring with her. And I said, well, what matters to you the most? Also explaining to her that 99% chance everything was going to be fine and we'd go to school and work in the morning, which is exactly what happened. But might as well be prepared, right? And not get caught with our pants down trying to get out of town as the fire is overtaking the town. And so she has a Squishmallow collection. And these are stuffed animals she's got a ton of them. And while I'm packing up a couple of rifles in my cases, she literally fills up my entire back seat of my truck with these Squishmallows. And I've got a big truck. It's an F-250 Super Duty. Big truck, a lot of space, and it was full of these Squishmallows. And I told her, I said, you got to pick your favorite ones. And she said, Dad, they're all my favorites. And I kind of understood, because I was feeling the same way about my gun collection. So the third gun that I was taking with me, obviously, in fact, I already had it on me, my carry gun. We were just coming back from this trip. It was on my hip. It goes everywhere with me, so it was coming no matter what. Also, it's not very big, doesn't take up a lot of space, so of course it's coming with me. If you're gonna end up maybe displaced from your home, you're gonna wanna have your carry gun on you no matter what, right? It goes everywhere with me already anyway. So that is the SIG P365 XL that I put together. This was just a regular micro P365 when I got it. Got the Wilson Combat XL frame, the XL slide with the comps, and an optic, a light on it. I even changed out the trigger to the flat face trigger. I was wearing it in this We the People holster, but I decided, well, of course, I got to bring my tier 1 concealed holster as well. Spare mags, extra ammo, all of that as well, because who knows? Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We might have to evacuate the town, and so I'm going to have my whole carry set up with me, because there are times that I carry strong side, depending what I have to do, and I don't want something right in front of my junk. And then there's times that, especially if I'm wearing like tighter shirts or something, that I need to carry appendix so that it conceals better. So I brought my whole concealed carry kit, but that was a given. Besides this pistol, there was a couple other pistols that I had to bring as well, but there was still one more rifle too. After I'd loaded up my 14.5-inch, my Mark 18, well, my 300 blackout, my home defense build, was looking at me in the safe going, really, Dad, you're going to leave me to burn alive? So I thought about it for a minute, and I decided I better bring my 300 blackout SBR as well. It's a 2-stamp gun. You know, I've got $400 just in tax stamps in this thing. And besides that, I absolutely love it. It may not be as Gucci as these other two guns. You know, it's built on Aero Precision M4E1 receivers. But I did put a lot of thought, time, and heart and soul into this build as well. It was one of my very first AR builds, and it meant a lot to me. I SBR'd it. I wouldn't have done that if it didn't mean something to me. It's got the mod light on it as well. It's also got a Geisley trigger, Radian charging handle, and safety. It's got a Holosun, but it's on a Unity riser, and it's a Holosun optic that I really love. And everything about this thing is just, it's a sweet shooter. It's super fun, and it's my home defense gun, and it's really short, and it's easy to move around with. It would be a great truck gun, although I don't really use it for that. If I was having to leave my home, technically they'd all become truck guns, and this one's about the perfect truck gun. So I packed up the 300 blackout as well, and then as I'm doing that, I'm seeing all these loaded mags in my safe, and so I grabbed the mags of Supersonic 300 blackout, the loaded mags of subs. I grabbed a bunch of mags of 5.56 of all the, the expensive defensive ammo that I had loaded up and ready to go. And I started throwing all that stuff in my backpack. Now I was thinking, SBRs, those are NFA items, right? Well, I realized I couldn't bring all my SBRs because I've pretty much SBR'd all of my short guns at this point, and I'm just waiting for the tax stamp on the Mark 18. So this PSA that I SBR'd a while back, unfortunately, it wasn't coming with. And neither was my AR9, but the AR9 had a suppressor on it. I was like, well, this is pretty easy to throw in the backpack, so I pulled the suppressor off, tossed that in the backpack as well. And of course, I couldn't forget my Prodigy. This is my favorite pistol to shoot. It's a Springfield Prodigy, 1911 double stack, 2011, whatever you want to call it. But again, I put a lot of time, effort, money into this one as well. I sent it off and got the full EGW kit installed in it. It's got the Atlas trigger tuned to 2.4 pounds. I mean, the thing is a sweet shooter. It is super reliable, super accurate, super fast. I actually installed the EGW safeties myself. I realized I probably could have done the whole ignition kit, but I just didn't know enough about 2011s at the time that I got this and wanted to make sure it was done right. So I paid extra to have someone do it. In fact, to have Skip's Guns do it. And so this gun means a lot to me. Optic, light, everything. It's a gun that I really enjoy shooting and I feel super confident with. And pistols don't take up a whole lot of space. So threw this one in the backpack. But then I decided, man, I've got my carry gun. I've got my 2011. I've got my 300 blackout, my Mark 18, and my 14.5-inch. Well, I can't leave my M&P behind. This was, of all the guns that I own currently, This one I've had the longest. Now, it wasn't the first gun that I ever owned, but it's the oldest one that I still own. And I think it was the second gun that I ever owned. And I absolutely love this M&P. I've put so many rounds through it. I have so much time on it. And at this point, I've put a lot into this as well. I sent the slide off to get milled for an optic because this M&P 2.0 didn't come optics cut. And the post office lost my slide. And I went through this whole thing that took months. And then they finally cut me a check and I had to buy a new slide, send that one off, got it cut to direct mount the full-size Holosun EPS here. So it sits nice and low and I could still use the standard sights. And there's not really anybody else out there, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody, that has an M&P with a direct mount EPS, because most people that have M&Ps with optics got the optics ready versions, and if they cut them, most people are getting, an RMR cut. And so then you have to move the sights or put different sights, or you have to use a plate if you're going to mount this enclosed pistol sight, the Holosun EPS. So I've got kind of a unique M&P in that way, in that I got it cut for the K footprint and installed the full-size EPS. I've just never seen one else like that. And of course, I got the Midnight Bronze Cerakote with it as well. I also installed the Apex Tactical flat face trigger in this one, which to this day, I have not experienced a better striker fired trigger. And that's saying something, because this M&P came with the original curved hinge trigger design, which was absolutely terrible. It was long, gritty, and kind of heavy. And installing the Apex trigger in this just changed this gun. And it was the first pistol that I ever took apart the actual guts out of the frame and did all that work myself. And so this one meant a lot to me. And so I had to throw this one in as well. Now, you're probably watching this video going, yeah, you're taking all your guns. Well, no, it was less than half of my guns, but it did end up being 3 rifles and 3 pistols. The 14.5 inch, the Mark 18, the 300 Blackout SBR, the Prodigy, the M&P, and of course, my carry gun, because it goes everywhere with me. So, with my truck full of my daughter's Squishmallows, 3 rifle cases, and a backpack full of guns, suppressors, all of these custom magazines that I got from Matt Gore, MLG Customs, among other things, I stopped and I took stock of the situation. I had laundry going because we'd just gotten back from a trip. I was getting dinner ready. Regular life was still happening, and there was a very good chance that I was going to work the next day and everything was going to be totally normal. But that actually wasn't it. I've got some other rifles that I've borrowed from my good friend Nick right now, and I wasn't going to let Nick's guns burn up either. So I packed up his rifle case with both of his rifles. And actually, to tell the honest truth, I put his rifles in before any of mine, because as much as I care about my own stuff, if I'm saving anything, I'm not going to let someone else's guns that they put their heart and soul and their time and their money into. So his rifle case was on the floorboard. I had 3 of my hard cases stacked with my 3 rifles. I had my backpack with 3 pistols, suppressors, mags, stocks, all kinds of other stuff, including the tripod that I used to make these videos, because I wasn't going to leave my YouTube channel behind either. And so I threw my computer in. I use a laptop to edit these videos. So that went in the backpack. And I decided that that was enough. And that if we did have to evacuate in the middle of the night, if there was a couple of more things that I needed, I could grab them quickly and go, or maybe not. But I felt that at least the guns in my collection that meant the most to me would come. And it was sad to me. Sad to leave my AK. Sad to leave my 1911. Sad to leave my very first AR build. Or even my very first AR ever. All of these things, I didn't want to leave any of them. But I had to make those choices. There was no way that I could put my entire gun collection in my truck, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to have my truck full of a zillion guns and nothing else. And that seemed a little weird to me. Although it's probably not. I mean, many of you guys probably already feel the same way and would want to save your whole collection. But I did think that it was worth making a video about that. When I saw this fire, and I got the advice from my father to pack up the few things that I didn't want to lose no matter what, and I was thinking it was going to be these 2 rifles, and I ended up with 6 guns in my car and a bunch of other related accessories and things. So I want to know what you guys, of your whole entire gun collection, if there was a fire raging across town and people were being evacuated already, and you had to think about what was worth getting prepared to leave and what you had to save, what of your collection, what gun or guns, because I couldn't choose just one, what would you choose to save in that instance? I would love to know. Now again, it turned out to be all right. Now the fire is still burning. It has been super smoky and gnarly here the last few days, but our house didn't burn down. It's still here. I've been going to work every day, just like normal. When I got up that morning, I brought all my guns back inside, put them back in the safe, and life went on. So again, let me know what you would choose down in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys because it was something I had to figure out. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. Share this video. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.